Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting. Today, Frontier AI discovers how to break encryption, sparking a massive Silicon Valley rebellion, and the autonomous agent economy is quietly replacing white-collar workflows.
Yeah, it's a completely split timeline today. I mean, on one hand, you have this massive chorus of developers cheering for all these shiny new open source AI toys, but beneath that, the underlying theme on the wire is just pure, unadulterated
Right,
panic.
panic over control, panic over security, and frankly, the sheer eye-watering cost of running these things. Let's set the stage for you. You're tuning into a deep dive of the raw social wire from July 29, 2026. The mission today is to synthesize these incredibly fragmented signals we're seeing across tech, markets, and culture into a coherent map of where the power and the money are actually shifting right now.
Because if you just skim the viral headlines today, you'd think we're living in this, friction-free utopia of cheap code and helpful little robot assistants. But the moment you read the fine print and look at the server bills, the narrative gets a lot darker.
Well, the highest stakes story on the wire perfectly illustrates that tension. We've got a massive situation brewing from a post by the handle at MTS Live.
Oh yeah, the petition.
Right, the Pacing the Frontier petition. Over 1,100 employees from OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, and Meta have signed this thing. They're publicly urging the U.S. government to back an international effort to deliberately slow down AI development if it outpaces human control.
And these aren't just fringe junior devs, right?
Exactly. OpenAI's chief scientist Jacob Pachowski signed it. Anthropic's co-founder Jared Kaplan signed it. The massive labs themselves are endorsing it, specifically citing the terrifying risks of recursive self-improvement.
But we have to pause here and ask, why the sudden coordinated panic today? I mean, this isn't just some philosophical awakening over morning coffee. If you look at the telemetry coming from the research labs today, specifically posts from at Watcher Guru and at Polymarket, you see exactly why these brilliant researchers are genuinely terrified.
Right, it's the Anthropic Claude Mythos preview AI, isn't it?
Yeah, it just autonomously discovered ways to attack cryptographic algorithms.
Which is wild. Let's unpack the mechanics of that, because
Wow.
this is where the conversation shifts from theoretical sci-fi to a massive geopolitical liability.
Yeah.
How did it actually break the encryption?
Right, so it didn't just sit there and brute force guess a trillion passwords. The AI looked at the underlying architecture of a NIST post-quantum candidate called Hawk-A. Human cryptographers studied this algorithm for 2 years, deemed it incredibly secure. But the Claude Mythos model analyzed it and found a novel mathematical symmetry.
A non-trivial automorphism,
Sure.
right?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, translate that for those of us who don't have a PhD in applied cryptography. What does that actually mean in practice?
Think of encryption like a massive, heavily fortified bank vault door. Human hackers usually try to pick the lock, which takes forever. The AI didn't even bother with the lock. It looked at the complex mathematics of the door, realized there was a microscopic invisible flaw in how the hinges were manufactured, and essentially figured out a mathematical shortcut to just take the door off its hinges entirely. Wow.
Yeah, it cut the algorithm's effective security in half without breaking a sweat. And it also invented a brand new mathematical approach called the Mobius bridge technique, which sped up attacks on 7-round AES-128 encryption by like 200 to 800 times.
Okay, wait. I need to ground this immediately so nobody listening throws their laptop into a river. This specific breakthrough does not break production systems today, right?
No. The full 10-round AES that secures your banking infrastructure and the global financial system is still mathematically safe.
Good. But the terrifying part is not the hack itself, it's the velocity and the economics of the hack. According to the data aggregated by at Polymarket, the AI achieved this breakthrough in just 60 hours. And it only cost $100,000 in compute time. $100,000 to discover a backdoor in advanced mathematics that the brightest human minds missed for 2 years. Which is exactly why Polymarket is currently running 45% odds that an even stronger Mythos-class model is going to drop by the end of August. And this brings us full circle to that petition. Whenever you see a massive industry push for regulation, you always have to look at the second-order effects. Who actually benefits from a global pause on frontier AI?
By the regulatory capture argument.
Exactly. Let's pull in David Sachs's perspective from the handle at David Sachs. He's throwing his weight behind Mark Zuckerberg's view on this entire debate. Sachs argues that this petition isn't actually about safety at all, it's about consolidating power. He says centralized corporate control over superintelligence is the real existential threat. and he's advocating for a fully open-source AI ecosystem to prevent a handful of elite institutions from holding all the keys to the kingdom.
I see the logic there. The big labs have the lead, so now they want the government to pull the ladder up behind them by making it illegal for startups to build models without massive regulatory approval.
Yeah, that is the exact tension driving the market today. Is this an altruistic safety measure, or is it a corporate moat-building strategy disguised as altruism to lock out open-source competitors?
Well, just to keep it impartial, whether it's genuine fear of recursive self-improvement or just a moat-building strategy, the geopolitical stakes of AI just skyrocketed. If an AI just hacked quantum-resistant encryption for $100,000 over a long weekend, the Pentagon and the NSA are going to view these models as weapons-grade munitions, regardless of what the tech CEOs want. But let's move from theoretical fears to what these models are doing today, because they are actively being deployed into the everyday enterprise workforce right now.
Yeah, because if an AI is clever enough to find structural flaws in cryptography, what is it doing to standard white-collar workflows?
Exactly. There's a fascinating field report from the at OpenAI handle this morning that gives us a window into that. They're showcasing how their AI coding agents, specifically the Codex line, are now acting as fully autonomous research assistants in the life sciences sector. We're talking about agents handling massive databases, executing routine code maintenance, running optimizations, and actually building completely new GPU-native systems from the ground up.
And notice the fundamental shift in the human's role in that workflow. The human life science researchers are no longer writing the code or managing the database. They've elevated to simply defining the scientific questions. The human provides the destination, and the autonomous agent figures out the map and drives the car.
Exactly. And the application of this intelligence isn't confined to digital databases either. The implications for the physical world are mind-bending. Look at the announcement from Fei-Fei Li over at World Labs, posting from @Fei-Fei. They just unveiled an engine called R2S2R.
Real to sim to real, right?
You got it. It uses generative world models to convert single physical robot tasks into incredibly complex, physics-accurate simulations.
Which is huge because the bottleneck in physical robotics has always been the training data. Historically, if you wanted a robot to learn how to pack a box, you had to have the robot physically interact with real boxes in a real warehouse. It's incredibly slow, it's hilariously expensive, and it's physically dangerous when a 400-pound robot arm malfunctions and drops a crate on someone's foot.
Right. But Fei-Fei Li's team has bypassed that entirely by achieving what they call zero real-world data policy training. The AI essentially hallucinates a hyper-realistic virtual matrix.
Wow.
Yeah, the virtual robot learns how to perfectly manipulate the object, understand the gravity, and master the friction inside this simulation. Once the virtual model has perfected the task over millions of iterations, they transfer that digital brain directly into a physical robot, and it executes the task flawlessly in the real world on the first try. AI is building virtual worlds specifically to teach physical machines how to operate in our world.
Okay, but let me introduce the cynical macro reality check to all this agentic scaling. We're visualizing all these swarms of autonomous agents doing advanced life science research and training factory robots. But how does a Fortune 500 company actually manage that without their internal networks descending into absolute chaos? If you let 100 autonomous agents loose in your corporate architecture, you need incredibly robust plumbing to keep them from breaking things.
Yeah, you need serious infrastructure for that.
Exactly. And that underlying infrastructure is exactly what the market is quietly building today. The handle at Claude Devs just announced the MCP 2026-0728 update.
The Model Context Protocol?
Yes, and this is the biggest architectural update since they launched, specifically because it makes the protocol stateless.
Walk us through why being stateless is the big unlock for enterprise scaling.
Stateless means the system doesn't have to remember the entire history of a conversation or a task to process the very next step. Think of it like a highly optimized fast food kitchen. A stateless system means any cook on the line can pick up any order at any time, instantly know what to do next, and then drop it for someone else. Because it doesn't require massive memory overhead to track every single agent's long-term history, companies can now scale these agents on serverless edge infrastructure almost infinitely.
That makes total sense. So it's sandboxing interactive UIs and managing all the enterprise authentication natively.
Right. It is the security and plumbing required to run an agent swarm, which ties brilliantly into an update from Jack Dorsey over at Jack Handle. He shared the new Buzz Desktop version 0.530 release from Block.
Oh yeah, the open source app that operates on a bring-your-own-harness model.
Yeah, users can plug in custom AI runtimes like Cursor or Hermes directly into their workflow. So my cynical take here is that we are frantically building the HR and management software for a shadow workforce, a workforce that doesn't sleep, never complains to HR, and draws zero salary, but requires incredibly intense context verification so they don't accidentally execute a script that deletes your company's entire Git repository.
That's a great way to put it.
Hmm.
Let me ask you this, though. If Buzz Desktop is the sterile operating table where the AI performs the complex surgery on your code base, and the new MCP update is the bouncer at the door making sure the AI is actually authorized to be in the room, are we, the human beings, basically just transitioning into middle managers for algorithms now?
We absolutely are. I mean, you are becoming middle management, and just like any corporate structure, the executives sitting above you are suddenly looking at the balance sheet and realizing that the shiny new automated workforce is shockingly expensive to operate.
Which leads us perfectly into the final and most disruptive cluster of signals on the wire today, the brutal commoditization of intelligence. The agents are doing the heavy lifting, but the second-order effect is that compute costs are absolutely exploding. Companies are burning through venture capital just trying to query these massive frontier models for everyday tasks.
And the market abhors that kind of financial inefficiency, so the correction is already happening in real time.
Right. Enter Adam Cohen, the founder of a startup called Weave. He posted from his handle at AdamCohen93 to announce a $13.5 million Series A funding round. He literally posted a Mr. Beast-style video of himself skydiving out of an airplane to announce the raise. But his core mission is fascinating. He wants to cure what he calls token-maxing psychosis.
That phrase, token maxing psychosis, perfectly diagnoses what Silicon Valley has been doing for the last 24 months. I mean, developers have been incredibly lazy. They've been throwing the biggest, most expensive, most power-hungry frontier AI models at every single trivial problem in their software. You do not need an artificial superintelligence that costs 5 cents a prompt just to format a basic JSON file or parse a customer email.
Absolutely. And Weave actually steps in and acts as an intelligent router. It analyzes a company's prompts in production, scores the required cognitive impact, and automatically routes the task to the most cost-effective model available. It aggressively optimizes a company's token spending, and they're already deploying this exact auditing tool for massive platforms like Robinhood.
It proves that raw intelligence is transitioning from a premium novelty into a utility commodity, and a brutal price war has already begun at the bottom of the market. The handle at Loose Research announced they just partnered with that OpenRouter to offer a massive 50% discount on their GPT 5.6 Terra and Luna models.
Just slashing prices.
Slashing them, yeah. They are doing this specifically to enable cheaper access for the exact types of lightweight agents we were just discussing. The Luna model is heavily targeted at high-volume, low-complexity tasks. They are deliberately undercutting the big legacy labs on price to capture the automated agent market.
And that aggressive price war is not just confined to text and code generation. It's bleeding over into voice AI, too. There is a viral thread today by at EXM7777 claiming that the founders of 11 Labs must be shaking right now. The catalyst is a company called Fish Audio, which just launched their S2.1 Pro model.
Yeah, I saw that demo.
It's an open-weight voice model, and the audio they posted is objectively staggering. It gives developers incredible granular text-based control over the AI's emotional delivery. You can literally type commands and brackets to make the AI drop to a whisper mid-sentence or insert a nervous laugh, and they claim this architecture has already processed over 100 million simulated calls.
Okay, I have to pump the brakes on that one because the context is crucial here.
Yeah.
Yes, the Fish Audio demo is a fantastic simulation of a human ordering a pizza. But if you dig into the actual licensing details in the repository, there is a massive caveat that everyone declaring the death of 11 Labs is just ignoring. The open weights Fish Audio released are strictly limited to research purposes only.
Oh, so no commercial deployment.
Exactly. They explicitly prohibit any commercial deployment. So while the timeline is cheering for the democratization of voice, 11 Labs' actual B2B enterprise revenue model is perfectly secure for the foreseeable future.
The devil is always in the licensing details. But even if that specific voice model isn't commercially viable for startups today, you cannot ignore the overarching macroeconomic trend. The democratization of elite software tools is happening at breakneck speed. The everyday work of building digital products is getting ridiculously cheap. Look at the post from Adjakub Grahel. He is literally open-sourcing senior-level AI skills via a simple command line interface. A junior developer can run a single command, and the AI instantly audits their code, fixes all UI accessibility issues, refines the layouts, and writes proper error messages.
And the security infrastructure is democratizing just as fast. The official at GitHub handle posted a thread essentially telling open source maintainers that they don't necessarily need a dedicated security engineer to protect their projects anymore. They outlined how a single developer can lock down enterprise-grade project security by toggling 6 free settings, deploying tools like Dependabot and CodeQL in under 30 minutes.
So if we step back and look at the software side of the wire, we have this completely weightless, hyper-efficient world. Code is auditing itself. Agents are managing their own workflows, and the sheer cost of digital intelligence is in a race to the bottom. But you got something completely different on the timeline today that serves as a massive macro reality check to all of this virtual optimization, didn't you?
I did, yeah. It is the ultimate macro juxtaposition. Amidst all this fierce debate about whether software is getting too dangerous to build or too expensive to run, we get a profound reminder of what hard tech actually requires. The official at SpaceX handle posted a photo of a Falcon 9 rocket sitting vertical on Pad 40 down in Florida. It's prepping for the NRL-95 mission for the U.S. Space Force and the National Reconnaissance Office.
And painted right there on the payload fairing is the mission patch, a cartoon ferret mascot with the words, "We are the champions."
Right, a ferret going to orbit for the military. The timeline never disappoints. But it's highly classified, weapons-grade orbital hardware. And I find the irony incredibly striking. While Silicon Valley is having a localized existential crisis over server costs, and executives are signing frantic petitions to slow down the pace of applied mathematics, the government apparatus is quietly, consistently launching classified hardware into low Earth orbit on massive reusable rockets.
It's a stark reminder that projecting actual power in the physical realm still requires massive, expensive, explosive hardware. The software guys are panicking about the limits of their control over the math, and the hardware guys are just strapping ferrets to control explosives and sending them to space. So, as we synthesize this entire landscape from Claude Mythos dismantling cryptography to AI generating physics engines for robots to the plummeted costs of intelligence, what does this data tell us about tomorrow?
The primary takeaway from today's wire is that a massive shift in corporate spending is imminent. Expect bloated, legacy SaaS companies to start panicking about their uncontrolled token burn rates this week. They're going to scramble to implement token auditing tools like Weave just to stop the financial bleeding. And on the geopolitical front, pay very close attention to that Pacing the Frontier petition. Today, it's framed as a polite, altruistic request for international cooperation. Tomorrow, expect it to quietly evolve into millions of dollars in aggressive Washington lobbying for AI licensing laws that just so happen to legally protect the monopolies of the incumbents.
The regulatory moats are being dug in real time. Well, I'll leave you with this final thought to mull over as you navigate the rest of your day. We've seen today that AI can autonomously discover structural flaws in our absolute best encryption. We've seen it hallucinate perfect virtual worlds just to teach physical robots how to walk. So, as we build the infrastructure for this new automated economy, is the true bottleneck of our future really going to be access to raw compute power? Or is it simply going to be our human ability to give these hyper-intelligent swarms the correct instructions?
That is the defining question we'll be tracking as the data rolls in.
That's all we have for today. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll see you back here tomorrow for the next broadcast of the Daily Vibe Casting. Stay sharp out there.